Hello, welcome to Molyneux at the end of a very, very disappointing day for Norwich City. A 3-0 defeat here at Wolves, which leaves survival looking incredibly unlikely with 11 games to go. 7 points adrift. It hasn't actually got any worse today because Watford have lost at Manchester United, Villa lost yesterday, and West Ham go to Liverpool on Monday night, so they're unlikely to be getting points as well. A 3-0 defeat, though. It was the manner of the performance, the manner of which today has worked out after a decent opening stage. First 15-20 minutes, Norwich were pretty much in control of things, but Wolves were very, very clinical. Showed exactly why they are in with a shout of chasing fourth place and a Champions League place. Showed why they're in the Europa League knockout stages, beating Espanyol 4 here on Thursday night. And that was the big thing, I think. Norwich smelt that there could be a possibility that they caught Wolves off guard today, that they'd had a game on Thursday night, whereas they'd had all week to prepare for it. But the confidence was just brimming with the home side. They were so much sharper, so much more confident on the ball, and so clinical as well. It was almost men against boys at times, and a really frustrating day for Norwich. Just spoken to Alex Tettey after the game, and you know what Alex is like in these situations. He doesn't pull his punches, and he used the word extremely disappointed or the phrase extremely disappointed many times. At one point he even said extremely, extremely, extremely disappointed with himself as well as the whole situation. Joked that he might give his new 1-year contract back on the back of that, but you know, still words of praise for the direction the club's going. I asked him that he must have faith in the direction that Stuart Webber and the club are going for him to sign that deal, and you know, he still said lots of positive things about the overall direction the club's going in. But today a 3-0 defeat is pretty damaging, considering that they've got Leicester at home up next, and they needed a spark. If they were going to get anywhere near a great escape this season, they needed a spark, and the opportunity was there today because of that defeat for Villa yesterday. They could have moved to within 4 points with 11 games remaining. A victory here would have been massive, but they never looked like getting the win, and final whistle, they looked shell-shocked really. Emi Buendia did come on for the final 30 minutes. Daniel Farke kept him on the sidelines after those quite potentially harsh comments at his press conference on Friday about wanting more from Buendia, about the fact that his goal threat hasn't been there. He was obviously looking for a response, and Buendia came on. I suppose it was an immature performance in a lot of ways. He was trying to force the issue, trying to show that he can do things, but it didn't work out. And as the final whistle blew, he was actually on his backside, frustrated, throwing his hands up in the air because he'd lost the ball, trying to beat 2 or 3 men at once. Wolves had charged up into the far corner to waste a bit of time. And as the final whistle goes, Emi's actually quite close to the away fans, but instead of turning to the away fans who'd made the effort to be here today for their bottom of the table team, he just walked straight towards the tunnel, angry, straight down the tunnel, not talking to any of his teammates, any of his coaches, just fuming. And I'm afraid that backs up what Daniel's been saying, really. It gives a bit of an insight into what we've seen. We all know the ability that he's got, but that's immature behaviour, to be frank. And it was a fairly immature performance when he had the ball as well. When he came on, he was trying to do too much, trying to beat 3 men at times rather than playing the simple ball. I know that is kind of his game. He is a creative player, a bit like Wes Hoolahan was, in that he is going to lose the ball. You have to accept that at times, but that was not what Norwich needed today. The 2 changes that Daniel did make to the starting 11 were enforced. Ben Godfrey came in for Christoph Zimmermann in central defence alongside Grant Hanley, and Jamal Lewis in for Sam Byram, whose season is over thanks to that hamstring injury. We wait to hear how serious Zimmermann's hamstring injury is, and Onel Hernandez's knee as well, to see how long they will be out for. But Godfrey looked very rusty. He doesn't play right centre-back very often. Of course, he's normally the left-sided player alongside Christoph Zimmermann, and I'm not sure if it was fitness or just rustiness, but Ben struggled today. It was probably he would probably admit it was one of his worst performances of the season. It was one of Norwich's worst performances of the season in the end, because they looked like rabbits in the headlights. Eventually, they just wanted to get off the pitch. The final 30 minutes or so, Wolves just sat back, allowed them to have the ball. I mean, the stats: Norwich actually had 60% of possession in this game, 6 shots and 4 on target. Wolves had 19 shots and 6 of those were on target. So they allowed Norwich to pass it around and were confident that they could hold them at bay, and they did. The only real chance of note in the second half was Max Aaron's nice move, actually, to be fair, sparked by Jamal Lewis, linking well with Cantwell on the left, and eventually it was a Cantwell back heel which put Max Aaron's into the box, and Aaron's fired low at the near post and Patricio held it. But otherwise it was already 3-0 at that point, and I think Norwich knew what was coming. They knew that their race was run. They'd missed their opportunity when they'd fallen behind in the first half. It nearly got bad in 15 minutes, or nearly started at 15 minutes in, when Jota went into the Norwich box and dummied a couple of times rather than shooting, and allowed Lewis to recover and prevent him from opening the scoring at that point. But they did take the lead 4 minutes later, 19th minute. Ruben Neves on the right wing got past Lewis and started charging forward, and then found Jota in the box. Jota scored a hat-trick in the Europa League on Thursday night, that 4-0 win over Espanyol. Nice spin away from Aarons, but a bit too easy, and then fires it under Tim Krul, who's fairly exposed at that point, and it's 2-0 in the 30th minute. Short corner, we saw these at Carrow Road. We know that Wolves like to use these. Played it short, Johnny put the corner in, it's flicked on, and then Roman Cease heads the ball into the 6-yard box, and there's no Norwich players there. They're playing for offside essentially, and Jota's the man that wants it most, gets to it and is able to prod past Tim Krul quite easily. That's 2-0, and it would have been 3 before half-time if it wasn't for Krul, who made a fantastic save from a Ruben Neves free kick. It was just inside the D. Max Aaron's booked for a challenge as Norwich scrambled with Wolves countering in the first minute of injury time, and Tim tipped that onto the crossbar. That really was a fantastic save, and that would have been 3-0. But no changes at half-time. Doing our live updates at pinken.com, there was a lot of surprise of that the changes didn't come immediately, that Buendia, Vrancic, some attacking intent didn't come onto the pitch, or a change of shape at least, and within 5 minutes it was 3-0 and game over. Kenny McLean lost the ball on the halfway line. Jamal Lewis actually did well to get back and tackled Raul Jimenez, but unfortunately diverted the ball past Grant Hanley. Jota then smashes against the post. The ball falls calmly to Jimenez, who continued his run, to be fair to him, like a good striker does, and was able to finish into an empty net. And that was 3-0 and pretty much game over. Daniel Farke did respond. He brought on Buendia and Josip Dermic on the hour, took off Lucas Rupp and Andre Duda, who were pretty anonymous today. I think they'll be very disappointed with their offering. Cantwell at least tried to make things happen and was working hard, but Duda and Rupp, there were a few times when they were in and around the box and didn't even look like they were close to thinking about having a shot. In fact, early doors, Pukki had given the ball to Rupp in the box, and if he'd have had a left foot, he could have at least had a shot. And it was similar to the Liverpool opportunity, where he just dithered on the ball, didn't take the shot, tried to give it to Cantwell instead, and then that was the chance gone. But yeah, as I say, the only real opportunity was Aaron's in the second half. Krul also made a good stop late on from Matt Doherty to prevent it being 4-0, and it felt like a 4-0. It probably should have been a 4-0 win for Wolves. Sadly, it's literally one that Norwich have got to write off, and given that that's now 1 win in 14 in the league, it's a real downbeat atmosphere around the team at the moment. You know, seeing them stream out of the dressing room today, they're really hurt by this. They're really downbeat, and I guess they know their fate really, and it's difficult. Well, you can't find any positives in today, if you're being perfectly honest. As things stand, they are heading back to the Championship. There is no sign of a spark. It's still possible, of course, mathematically. Go and turn it around and beat Leicester on Friday night, and yes, of course it's still possible, but when you see performances like this and confidence so low, touch is so poor, the lack of work rate, even the lack of organisation, and even to some extent the lack of response from Daniel Farke during the game, you're just struggling to find the hope. You know, Tyson Fury in Las Vegas last night after his fight was singing about the day the music died, singing American Pie in the MGM Grand, and today felt like the day the hope died for Norwich City. I think that'll do. Thank you very much for watching. Head over to pinken.com for all the analysis and reaction if you can stomach it. We'll try and find some positives, not positives, but we'll make sure that we build up to Friday night properly, that it's still a big game, the return of James Maddison. There's still the opportunity, there's still the chance for the Carrow Road crowd to turn up and drive the team on to a turnaround and something dramatic. But as we stand here today at Molineux after a 3-0 defeat, it's difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that light is probably back in the Championship. Thank you very much for watching. We will catch up with you soon.